A Shropshire firm says its turnover could increase by a quarter if football clubs in England are allowed to create safe standing areas in their grounds. Ferco Seating have been awarded the contract to install rail seating at Celtic Football Club, but it would need new legislation to allow it in England. Nick Clitheroe reports.
This industrial unit outside Shrewsbury may not look like a place where they're making football history, but it is.
Where's your biggest market?
Biggest market tends to be education. This type of seat here.
Ferco Seating are soon to embark on their most groundbreaking project yet, because next summer they'll install more than 2,500 rail seats at Celtic Park in Glasgow. That will allow a section of the 60,000 crowd to stand to watch football once again.
Michael, what exactly is rail seating?
Well, a rail seat is essentially a seat within a barrier. As you can see from the handrail, they're 50 millimetres diameter, and the seat sits completely within that envelope. So most of the time it will act as a barrier, but when it's required to be a seat, we can pull the seat out. In essence, the clubs will have keys to open these seats like this, let them down, and it's now a permanent seat.
Well, legislation brought in after the Hillsborough disaster of 1989 imposed all-seater stadia on clubs in the top two divisions. Many lower league teams then followed suit. But now there's a growing clamour from supporters and even the clubs themselves for a change.
A section of Ferco's rail seating was installed at Bristol City last year to help supporters and clubs argue their case to government about introducing legislation to allow safe standing.
If they were given the choice, most of the information we have at the moment is most Premiership and Championship clubs want to. Our assessment of the situation is that there maybe be a 25 or 30% increase in our turnover, and that would turn into, additional employment opportunities for our people as well.
Aston Villa are one of a number of Premier League clubs who've offered to host a trial, but it's Celtic Park in Glasgow where the rail seats will get their first test. It'll be the climax of 5 years' hard work for Ferco. Nick Clitheroe, BBC Midlands Today, Shrewsbury.
Well, our sports reporter Dan Pallett joins me. So, Dan, can we expect the return of standing areas at all our football grounds?
I think this is a really interesting development. There's a long way to go before we have it throughout the country. In Germany, it is used extensively. In fact, Ferco themselves have installed those rail seatings at Stuttgart and Hoffenheim. They have standing areas for domestic games, and then they go back to an all-seater stadia for European and international games. Back in England, the Football League is lobbying for a change, and there is a real groundswell of opinion that wants to see it back. The Birmingham MP, Roger Godsiff, is among them. And David Gold, who used to own Birmingham City, now at West Ham, he's in favour. But remember, in Germany, they didn't go through the Hillsborough disaster and all the emotion and controversies involved. Remember, the inquest into the 96 fans who died still go on today, 26 years later. So the mere prospect of standing at football grounds in England is still a very sensitive subject.
It's a fascinating idea. Dan, thanks very much for that. I have to say, you've been discussing this on our social media sites today. Martin Jones wrote on our Facebook page, he said, backward thinking for me. I know standing makes for a better atmosphere, but not everything in the good old days was good. David Rogers, Hillsborough was awful, but football grounds are a lot safer than then. If the Germans can do it safely, why not us? And maybe one more, Mike Sheridan, he tweeted, standing up, even whilst watching a football match, is not an inherently dangerous thing to do. There we are. Thank you for your thoughts there.